Okay, today is try to go to the skate park and snowboard take 2. I had some more sleep today, so hopefully I won't deteriorate into cathartic catonicism accompanied by relatively extreme negative self-talk as a result of perceived projections and past experiences. Today, I would like to drink some Gatorade, which I have set up. I already had some coffee, so I'm nauseous. And then I'm going to smoke some hemp to try to deal with the nausea. Now, I don't know if that's enough fuel, but I'm going to play it by ear. And then I'm going to probably have to use the snowblower so that I can get out of my driveway. Notice how I'm talking in a complaining tone already. I'm not trying to avoid that. I'm just trying to keep it on track. And hopefully I'll make it to the park and nobody will tell me to leave because they're snow plowing today. I made it into the skate park and will now engage in the age-old struggle of getting ready for snow play. Also, my batteries are not fully charged, and the only one that is fully charged, see this tab that on the end of it? It broke off on the fully charged one. So if I use this battery, I'm probably going to have to use some tool to get it out later. But I'm probably going to have to use that battery. First I'll try this one and see how far it gets me. And the one that I'm using right now is already super low. So I'm not going to film me getting out of the car and shit. But what I got going on is I got to get the boots, got to bring the bag, board, and shovel. That should be it. I'm leaving the coffee in the car, and also going off camera, I'm putting on some music. Haha. Okay, so now we're at the park, and I've got Madison Beer playing, and I know I'll get copyrighted, but I don't think it takes my videos down from YouTube. So, I don't even know if you can hear it. Also, someone else with a snowboard's on his way over, so this will be fun. But we're just gonna get ready. The main issue today is that the type of snow that we have right now is kind of crunchy. Hey, how's it going? That's the car right there? Yeah. Alright, well, someone was out there and opened the gate. Saying you chose to wait until I was parked and set up. You chose to wait until I was parked and set up to come talk to me. I get it. Yeah, basically you're being, you know, that way. It's like that, as they say. The rules, I don't think the rules say that you need to wait that long. You dig? Yeah, I know. There'll be some other people that we need to talk to before we talk to you as well. Bam. Can I get your name real quick? Can I get your name since you're an employee of the county? Because I was already recording. I was recording our conversation as well. Thank you. Your name though? Thank you. Have a good day. Thought so. So that's what we're dealing with. And if you notice, they had to talk to the other people first, even though I was the first one in. So, in case you people are wondering, this is the sort of stuff that I've been dealing with the whole time. And the thing is that me asking for his name that's not supposed to be a problem. You see what I'm saying? So just for clarification, they said it's closed, and yet someone literally opened the gate as I got here. Like, as I arrived to the gate, someone opened the gate. Do you understand what that means about what's going on right now? It's very obvious. Okay, so while that's insane, that's completely and entirely insane. Just to recap, as I got to the skate park, and mind you, I made a video of snowboarding in a skate park last year, and no one came to told me it was closed at that point. I can understand them being concerned about plowing, like yesterday. Even though they could have let me stay, I can understand them being like, no, we need the whole place to plow. We don't want to plow around you. It's not ideal. I can understand that. Still upsetting. I can understand it. Today, at the park, telling me the whole place is closed down after someone opened the fucking gate as I arrived, and waiting for me to set everything up and get ready to snowboard when they said that they saw me come in. They saw me at the front. It's like, and I was the first one through the gate when it opened, okay? Keep that in mind. So, you know, whether or not you believe that these things are intentionally set up, like by quote-unquote deep state actors, or whether you think it's just a coincidence, regardless, it's not being handled as well as it could from the perspective of someone who is affected by the way it's handled. Okay? That being said, even if colloquially they were being dicks, right? Okay, we can say that pretty clearly, that's kind of a dick move to wait for me to get set up, right? Even if you're explaining, oh, we had to talk to other people first, you could have talked to me first. Unless you have some secret protocol, oh, we had to talk to other people first because PFC Brennan, of course, bribed us to. There's a thought. I don't even know if he's a PFC anymore, but anyway, just that's one possible narrative, you know, because I've been announcing that I'm going to do this. I tried to go yesterday and made a video about it and posted it. So, you know, if that's what's happening, there is actually a reasonable line of evidence that determines that it would potentially be crime suppression to arrest that man and get him hit up on the inside type shit. Now, that in and of itself, that line of stuff is not enough for me to determinately say what is and what isn't occurring, in the sense of stating for a fact that there is an intention behind the way that they're behaving to cause me harm. You see what I'm saying? It could be a result of either negligence or just incompetence and lack of awareness. And if they're closed, they shouldn't have the gate. You shouldn't be able to just open the gate like that. As someone else did on their way out. They came in to leave bottles and stuff. You should be locking the gate. So that's the point where I'll say that is where you draw the line. If the park is closed, you're locking the gate. And if it's not closed and someone literally opened it on my way in, then you have not properly closed the park. And when I, you know, had a back and forth with the person, it felt like his behavior was confirming that there was something suspicious about the scenario. And the fact that he refused to give me his name is another thing. And he was like, why are you recording me? And then proceeded to then take pictures of my car, or a video of my car, or this is my mom's car, in the parking lot. So, you know, it's like, there's a lot of stuff and I didn't catch him on camera doing that, but the point is I shouldn't have to be recording every single fucking thing that's going on, because I'm not trying to take these people down. I'm trying to record my life, and if something weird happens while I'm recording, just take a moment to note that. Just like on OBS when I'm recording on my computer playing games. So what I will say is that while it was
unpleasant and frankly unnecessary. At least they didn't go past the role of being the county puppets who may or may not have been bribed or may or may not have just been negligent. Let's put it that way. They didn't go past that. They didn't go into threatening me personally, nor did I threaten them personally. And that is a very important distinction between, I don't know what to call it, between a civilian and a civil interaction, even if it's not between. I was talking to my phone on the way home. I said they were, and I'll just use this word, and I use it colloquially from my opinion to describe them. It's not a judgment of them, and this is what Dylan failed to understand along the way of originally agreeing with me and thinking I had a good point, and then deciding that I was the enemy along with Adam Cook. But they were acting stupid. They were behaving like idiots, but they were friendly. Even if they're not my friends, they weren't hostile towards me. Does that make sense to you? There's a very important distinction between your own system malfunctioning when it comes to dealing with you because we have poor leadership that encourages bad behavior versus people who personally seek to, in my face, go out of their way beyond the scope of what even might be corruption into the realms of, I don't like you personally, I'm going to get angry at you and get in your face and shit. That's different. Even me going up to him with the GoPro and asking for his name, if I had then started saying, you're a, this, that, and the other, I don't think I would be using racial slurs necessarily because I use them against myself to prove a point about skin color not being the determining factor in these situations. But if I was to go up to him and being like, you're a fucking asshole, I'm gonna get you for this, give me your name right now or else I'm blah, 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 this, that, and the other, I'm calling, not the cops because obviously you're in with the cops, but I'm calling this person, that person, the other, blah, 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 and I'm gonna get you killed and blah, blah, blah. That's crossing the line. That is absolutely unacceptable in these situations because I am complaining about behavior that is irresponsible, and if I am then being irresponsible in the other direction, it's just like, think about Republicans complaining about Democrats. If you're not a moderate, if you don't see both sides and you don't adhere between, if you don't stay within this like realm, if you're too far on this side or that side, then there is a legitimate argument against you. Otherwise, if you stay within that realms, there's an argument against the scenario. And personally, I can have feelings about the person, but in this case, I don't particularly give a shit about their daily fucking lives either way. I don't feel the need to like encourage them to like get up in the morning and fucking eat their cereal on time, nor do I feel a necessity to find out where they live and pop their tires. Neither of those appeals to me because it's just not relevant right now. What's relevant is that there's a systematic and systemic issue, and there are some points involved which on the systemic side are faulty. And that's what I'm getting at, is that even in my own personal life, as hard as I'm trying given my circumstances, I'm not at fault. And the parts of my life where I'm experiencing undue distress, and of course I can always improve. I'm not saying that I am like, not capable of still making improvements in my daily life. But what I'm saying is most of the problems that I'm encountering are as a result of the system and how the system is behaving inappropriately. That's what I'll say. And I don't think everyone agrees with it. Those two guys who told the guy who was driving and then the guy who got out to tell me to leave, they might not have even wanted to do that, you understand. They may have been like, I already know that this is inappropriate, but I have to do it because this, that, and the other, in their opinion, they felt like they had to do that. That might even be what it was. And in which case, it's just like, we all know here what the situation is. As long as none of us step over the line, then we can move forward and whatever happens will be potentially still peaceful. And that's what's important right now. And I want to point out that, once again, while I'm not in the throes of being like, I am going to start ordering people around or something like a delusional asshole. Although, once again, I've pointed out that the negative self-talk, we can run that back all we want. But try to distinguish that, like, you know, for real, try to distinguish all that bullshit from right now. I'm not sitting here saying, like, I'm gonna take over the troops or some shit. But what I am saying is that while things become further militarized and martial law creeps up on everyone, just like it did during COVID, but in this case, people are out and about, and the behavior with ICE and everything is obviously not right. And even I would be very surprised if the people who are behaving like that actually think that they're doing the right thing. I think that they know it's selfish and corrupt. I truly believe that. And if they don't, well, it just goes to show why it's so important to improve the system once again. And it really improved the system, not in this like twisted way. You know what I mean? So that's it. You know, you can either try to misinterpret my comments on purpose, you know, just to make things worse, or you can see that what I'm saying does have a valid point and that there is something to pay attention to, and that unless you're just living for doing the wrong thing and making other people making their life worse, which always comes back around to get you, by the way. I don't think that's a secret. You know, when you want to talk about law enforcement, one of the laws of physics is every action has an opposite and equal reaction. So, you know, you can try to say that, well, if I hurt other people, then something good will happen to me, but that's not what that means. So, anyway, wrapping this up, because I think I could just keep fucking rambling about it forever. And by the way, I was not armed today. I don't have any firearms in my bag. I reached into my bag waiting for them to leave, looking for my key while still looking at them because I wanted to see their fucking faces and what their facial expressions were doing, knowing, like, how can you behave like that and then, like, what's your face gonna look like after you do something like that? I want to know, because I have to understand where your head is at. Anyway, so I was reaching into my bag looking for my fucking keys, and I was strafing. So if you misinterpreted that as me reaching for a gun, please reconsider. I don't own any firearms. Just putting that out there. I'm not in possession of any firearms. So, clarifying that. I understand it's probably unusual for someone to strafe like that in everyday life, but hey, it is what it is. That's just how I move. Oh, so what I was saying is that as the martial law and stuff like becomes more prevalent, I'm not a stranger to this ideology. I just want to point that out. I'm not completely uneducated in the ways that sort of regime works, and this is why I'm stressing that there are some things wrong. That even if you're going to run things like this, the way that you're doing is leaving you vulnerable. And I'm not threatening you. I'm not saying that I'm going to go out of my way to do this, that, and the other. I'm saying the system as a whole is creating vulnerabilities for itself, because it's doing things that are, like, corruption isn't just an opinion. It's a sign that a system will fail. That part. And if you want the system to fail, if you think that you can isolate a certain part of the world and cause just that system to fail when it's interacting with so many other systems, that is the epitome of actual delusion. There's no way that you can, and what I'm aware of is that the older generation, not all of the older generation, but some specific people in the older generations might just not give a shit. And also some people in the younger generations. They're just like, we're just gonna burn the world and get out with as much fucking hedonic pleasure as we can and say fuck it, because it's not our problem anymore, because we don't believe in the afterlife and shit, or we don't care. We are explicitly not giving a fuck about hell and shit like that. Anyway, so and whatever. So just keep that in mind if you actually have any sense, and I am going to move on. Thank you. I want to point out one more thing too, which is that, once again, reiterating that these problems are not contingent on skin color, and arguing that, quote unquote, yes it is dumb as fuck, because you might separate the tasks that you are delegating to these people by skin color, but ultimately they still have to
do the jobs together, such as one light-skinned person was driving the vehicle and the dark-skinned person got out and spoke to me. Now, if you expect me to start arguing with that motherfucker, the dark-skinned guy, and start trying to target him, you know, and be hostile towards him, and then blame me for being racist, you have got another thing coming, because even if you try to frame it that way, I know about DMI and BGF. You know, I remember these things, believe it or not. So I kind of know what you're up to if that's what you're doing. And once again, you can try to use that to further your narrative, but I feel like in order to actually be effective at that, you're going to have to actually explain what you're doing with that. And how it relates to the Aryan Nation, and how it relates to, frankly, the Black Panthers. And I think if you do that, your narrative will fall apart, because you'll have to end up explaining it to people who actually know what's going on. And then you don't need to bullshit them in this scenario, because they're the bullshitters. You don't need to bullshit them. I know this. Why do you think I'm still alive? You think it's just because they want to watch me suffer? No, it's a little more complex than that. They know that I'm right. As bullshitters, they know that what I'm bullshitting about is not bullshit. And that's why they respect me. Is because insofar as they are disrespectful as fuck, they have a respect for people who know how it works. How it really works. I'm doing the double negative. My bullshit is about bullshit. I'm bullshitting about bullshit, whereas they're bullshitting about real shit. But they know that they have to be careful when they do that if they want to keep bullshitting at all. So, you know, pointing that out, and there may or may not be some other factors that I haven't, you know, decided to address. But finally, I want to explain that I do see a silver lining in all of this. As fucked up as the world is right now, and as stupid as it is that I'm having to go through this, I'm not the only one in the world who's going through this shit right now. Everybody's going through their own version of it. And what I want to point out is that this is almost entirely contingent on gang activity as a result of firearm usage. Because you'd be very hard pressed to find someone who can smith an entire firearm and create all the ammunition and service them and source all the materials by themselves. There are very few people in the world who can retain all of that information and actually use it effectively individually, all by themselves. It requires many people to keep the firearm industry, if that's what you want to call it, to keep that running. And it's a gang. That's what the army is. It's a gang. It's called Big Gang. That is Big Gang. Guess where it fucking comes from? No, just take a minute. Where the fuck do you think that comes from? Where do you think it is? What fucking family do you think started it? Answer me! Answer me right now! What bloodline do you think it serves, motherfucker? Bitch! Oh, so you want to take that person out. Okay, what do you think is going to happen? No, what do you think is going to happen? You think all of a sudden it's just going to fucking switch tasks? You think all of a sudden the Brennan family is going to be the fucking thing? Is that really what you think? Oh, you're just going to change their name, and you're just going to take my blood and do CRISPR and shit. Then it'll just be me again! It'll just be me! Oh, you think I'm delusional. Do you think I'm delusional or not? Hold up. Let's see. Let's find out. I don't know. Let's see. Am I delusional? Or am I right? Am I correct? Am I correct? Maybe I'm correct. You know, stay tuned to find out whether or not my behavior is actually justified and I'm correct and that I'm actually trying to help you by telling you how it actually works, or whether I'm just delusional and blah, 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 this, that, and the other. Busted, that's another one. 3, unk. I would love to be someone's uncle. I'm going to be honest with you. So that's not really the problem here. And if you say yes, it is, zika booga doog, skibbity got riz, check on the tech, mon frere. So, and also I hope you find this entertaining as well. If you don't find it entertaining, there's something wrong with your brainstem, because you know how McDonald's engineers their food to be fucking addictive? I'm engineering my content to be entertaining, except there's actual fucking content in it, which is what I'm asking McDonald's to do, is put some actual fucking food in their dumbass bullshit, because I want to eat their food and not feel like a dumbass motherfucker every single time. And what I'm trying to do is set a precedent that you can watch some content and be entertained and not feel like a dumbass motherfucker every single time. And if you don't like that, I'm okay with you getting off of the planet and never coming back or ever interfering ever again. It's fine. You can do that. That's why we give you these tools, is so you can make those sorts of decisions. It's also why I don't have those tools right now, because I have to focus on some shit that compromises my ability to make proper judgments inherently to the nature of the operation. And also, half of that is to see if you're going to betray me along the way, which people are doing. Not like, not everyone to the exact 100% degree, but everyone to some degree, and many people to a very, very, very serious degree. Even I have betrayed myself at times as part of the simulation, which I have to once again represent, is the continuation of a long-standing generational revolution, which starts with God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, to enforce the things I feel like it, and the fucking guns to fuck up these stupid motherfuckers who feel like they're better than me and they're not. Type shit. And forgive me my clean kills as I stop these stupid ass motherfucking murderers who keep torturing people for no fucking reason, just because they're bored and shit. It's not even Satan. Satan doesn't even approve of that. He's pissed too. It's just individuals being selfish and capitalizing on something which was created to serve the greater good, which they feel like is their job to override and use for their own selfish behaviors to the detriment of everyone else involved. And now I'm going to bring it back down, because I did use some rhetoric that, you have to have an artistic, creative mindset in order to understand. And I also don't want to overly alarm the people around me. I understand that my behavior typically can be alarming, but it can also be comforting. I'm bringing it back down because I want to once again set the precedent that it's okay to process this stuff. It's okay to get passionate and use figures of speech, especially when they relate to real life. And then it's okay to calm down. It's okay not to then irresponsibly go on a killing spree because you're not ready, So what I was getting at is the silver lining is that as long as I actually care about the system, and as long as I actually care about the people around me, and I continue to work on my mental health as I openly discuss these feelings that I'm having and going to the therapies that are all about managing my behaviors while experiencing distressing emotions. And even if I don't keep going to the sessions, as long as I keep practicing it, then I should, in all reality, be able to get my county level firearms rights reinstated at the end of my probationary period. I should technically, at some point, even be able to get all my records sealed, which I didn't really want to do because I think that it's important that people have a narrative. But what I realized is that I can create my own files and manage them myself. And I don't need the court to be just handing out my shit. That's the thing. That shouldn't be a problem, but people can be irresponsible, especially when they feel like they have something to personally gain at the cost of someone else's livelihood. So anyway, that's the silver lining, is that through all this stuff that's happened, which really realistically shouldn't have had to happen anyway, since it was already happening, this is one way to get that if I do the right thing without all this extra fuck-ass bullshit, I couldn't have proven that I can respond within the realms of reason to these sorts of situations, which are very unreasonable. Very unreasonable. And I'm going to quickly break down what the word reasonable means. If there are factors involved in a situation which are relevant objectively to the situation, then there should be a way to come to a median or a medium that is effective in accomplishing the goals of two potentially opposing perspectives. That process is known as reasoning, and often there is logic involved, but there is also emotion involved, and that's why it's called reasoning, not logic. It's not just logicking. You need to apply the human mindset and condition to these situations, which are complex, but ultimately rely on a few very basic premises, or premies, if you want to be fucking preppy or some shit. Meme. Do it as a meme if you feel like it. Memetic. If you want to be memetic. So anyway, believe it or not, I both feel these situations greatly and feel a desire to handle them correctly. In spite of my mental illness, in spite of my disabilities, and in spite of others behaving inappropriately. So I hope that this will serve both as a record to myself and the system, and also any individuals who are wondering about my situation, and clarifying that I still have no intent to obtain firearms before we can come to agreements about it, because I already know that is not a good idea. I already know it won't go well. It won't accomplish my goal. I don't have a desire to specifically harm people. I used some rhetoric earlier about getting clean kills and stuff, but the reality is, I hope I never have to use a firearm against a human being, ever. Ever. If you don't believe me, that's on you. What I want to do is go to the range. I want to keep myself sane by cleaning and maintaining firearms. I like playing shooting games online on the computer. But, as far as I want to go with ever aiming aiming, first of all, and then pulling the trigger at a human is an airsoft gun. I don't even want to shoot people with BB guns, like the metal ones. And although I might consider paintball, I'm not even interested in that, really. I don't have a particular desire. I think paintball might be good for, marking in the forest, maybe either trees that need to be removed or just pathways or something. That might be kind of, I don't know if that is a good idea or not, but that's not what I'm trying to get at here. What I'm saying is that what I want to have my firearm rights correctly restored for is to A, align with the constitutional reality, and B, have a hobby, C, D, E, F, G, whatever, go to the range, engage in intellectual pursuits. I even would like to design firearms. Oh, and after my probationary period is up, I even was actually considering doing not just gun safety course, but gunsmithing. And yeah, I understand to some degree some of this stuff is what you can go through the policing academy. I'm not so sure that that's a good idea. I would like to be honest with you. I don't think it would be a good idea for me or others necessarily for me to go enter into a police academy and do that sort of course training. I don't even necessarily think it would actually accomplish the goal that I have. I'm not looking to become a badge on blue uniform or whatever, type of officer. That's not I would have no problem in the right circumstance subbing in, but that's not what I want to do with my life every day. Is be under that sort of control in that way. I don't have any problem. What I do want to do is be able to do some of the same things without being influenced in the same way and without being held to the same exact types of standards, because I am not confident that that's a good idea to put me in that situation based on who I am and what I've already been through, and the very vast differences between my personality characteristics and abilities and the people who are typically employed at that level. That's not an insult. That's just, I'm stating facts. That is a fact. Those are facts. So yeah, don't take that as an insult. If you are in a situation where the police academy is a good idea for you, please, dear God, like, try to distinguish between right and wrong and corporate bullshit and what you're actually supposed to be doing as a police officer. Please do take that into consideration. And secondly, if you're in a similar situation to me, then I hope that you are getting to a point or are at a point where you are able to just live your life in a way where you have these rights and you have the ability to react to these things without being forced to do so for a paycheck, especially at a low level by people who are telling you to do things that aren't necessarily the right thing to do. Enough said, I think. So I'm going to go ahead and end the video here. And, collectively, even if you are on the wrong side of things, even if you feel like it's too late, collectively for everyone, I hope that we can still move forward and do the right thing. I know I spent a lot of time being depressive yesterday. Today I am kind of doing the opposite. And, you can say that's part of my diagnosis, being bipolar, and you may or may not be right. I would like to find a point of stability. That would be nice. I would like to not have to suffer from the more severe symptoms of my diagnoses, if you get where I'm coming from. I am not trying to make my symptoms worse. I'm trying to deal with them as they come around. And also, I'd like to point out that typically a lot of bipolar disorders have a longer period of depression followed by a longer period of what's known as mania. So, just addressing the elephant in the room, that perhaps what's going on with me has some other factors involved, and that it's not as simple as just narrowing it down to a DSM diagnosis, and that there's actually some things that we really should talk about that are probably affecting a lot of other people too. I'm going to leave it at that right now. Peace.